Hi, I'm Peter Cannon, the Bee Whisperer. Today is going to be the first of our new line of videos about cooking with honey. And whenever a beekeeper goes to a potluck or a party or some sort of thing where you have to bring some food and you want to bring some sort of signature dish, this is the one for you, using some of your honey. So what we're going to make is a Baclava, a Greek dish, a Greek pastry dish, which is loaded with honey. It's really good. I don't know anyone who doesn't like it. But let's start off by showing you what we're going to be putting in the Baclava. This is my beautiful wife, Anne, who's going to be my assistant, the sous chef tonight.
Hello.
She's going to show me where things are in the kitchen because I'm never in here. Okay, so before you move everything around, let's say what we're going to be using. I'm going to tip this down a bit, and these are what we're going to need. We're going to use some sugar, and I believe it's only about half a cup of sugar. We're going to use a couple of sticks of butter. Oops. Okay, I don't know if you spotted the deliberate mistake. Haha. Well, we don't use puff pastry sheets. This is what we want. Phyllo pastry needs all those little layers. Can't believe it. We've made 10 or 20 of these baklavas, and I didn't notice. Anne didn't notice, and so we got the wrong one, so I dashed out to the store to get some phyllo pastry, and of course it needed to defrost for 3 hours before being used. So I'm starting again. But I will continue from where we left off yesterday. A pound of the good stuff, and some cinnamon, and some walnuts. And that's all there is. So really it's just a matter of assembly. It's a very, very simple dish to make. It just takes a little bit of time to put it together. So let's get started. Now I'm just to find... Keep moving things in, I think, but... Okay, so we're going to crush up some nuts, and in the interim we need to grease this tray. So do you want to take care of that?
I will.
Here's do the butter. Need some scissors. And I'm going to speed this up when we do the editing. So this weekend we've got our boys coming home, and so I thought, well, I want to contribute something to the cooking and that sort of stuff. And here's the do my dish. So make the Baclava. I thought, why not make a video? So just going to crush up the walnuts till they're little, not totally crushed, but partially crushed. Is there a term for it?
I don't think so. You're doing a good job. Should I be melting some butter?
Sure, why don't you melt some butter? Just you go up the camera here and you can show them what you're doing, getting it ready to melt it, and then just popping it in the microwave or something.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to use a Pyrex jug, so it's microwavable safe. And how many sticks of butter do we need to
It
start
won't
with?
record well if it's over the sound of this. So talk in between those. Go ahead.
So yes, I'm just going to melt some butter. I'm going to do 1 stick at a time. So just microwave it for initially 30 seconds.
Oh, I don't that much.
Mm-hmm.
Melts really fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, see?
I'll bet it's only 15. Is that 30 seconds?
Yes, and it's nowhere
You were
near
right.
ready yet.
You were right, okay. This shows how inexperienced I am in the kitchen. Actually, I can cook some things, and what I do pretty well, but I just don't do many. Okay, there is a pound of crushed walnuts, and there's 1 stick of butter melted down, and we're gonna need that there we go, brush. Great minds. Okay, these can go in the rubbish. Thank you. And we want to add the cinnamon and sugar to our mixture here. So we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of sugar, no, 1/2 cup of sugar. Where are your glasses? Half a cup of sugar.
Have you got all the walnuts in there, Peter? So
Yeah.
that's a full pound, right?
Yeah, full pound of walnuts, 1/2 thing of sugar, and it's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I always put in twice that amount. I hope we can see this actually. 1 second.
I'm going to light the oven.
1 teaspoon. Yes, we want to light the oven and preheat the oven to, is it 325? 300.
It's pretty low, yeah.
1 teaspoon of cinnamon.
Can I just stop you there for a minute?
Go for it.
It's the wrong pastry.
Oh, you're kidding. You're kidding. It's not puff pastry?
It is puff pastry, it's phyllo pastry that you need.
Oh, of course.
And I think, did I buy the wrong one then? Oh, I did, I got the wrong one.
Oh, nuts. Well, that would have been a weird baklava.
Well, I'm like looking at it and I'm like, suddenly looked at the sheets and thought, they're not sheets.
Crap.
So we'll have to do it again anyway because it showed the box saying puff pastry.
Yeah, it was the wrong thing.
I should have guessed when it said 2 sheets. I'm like,
Yeah. Okay, well, I can use part of that. But
no, you're going to have to.
no, I can use this.
Oh yes,
part
you
of
can
it.
use that and just wrap it up. But I think this is going to have to go back in the freezer because it's still frozen quite badly. I mean, Hannaford's is open till 9 o'clock.
And so we start again. Unfortunately, because of the mix-up with the pastry, and we're having to needed to defrost the pastry, which I went out to get last night, need to start again, and that means I don't have my sous chef. So Anna's had to go back to school today to teach, and so I'm left to do it on my own. Time to turn the oven on while this is being prepared. Turn it on for 300 degrees. Bake 300. Start. Okay, so the oven's on, preheating to 300 degrees. And the ingredients that I was in the process of mixing when we discovered our little oops. So the cinnamon, the sugar, and the nuts all ready to go. And into the microwave goes the butter, which of course had solidified overnight. And while that's warming up, we'll get ready over here. The baking sheet is greased. Reminder, phyllo pastry. I'll not live that down for a little while. Okay. Phyllo pastry, great as it's all so. That's the butter. It's already done, but just to make sure the sides are nice and sticky. Because initially what we want to do is just make sure this stuff gets on the sides. And so this is where I really wish I had Anne's help here, because it's going to take me twice as long to make this. Okay, so it's one layer. Bit of butter. I was never used this stuff before. It is so thin. But that's what makes all the fluffiness. So a little layer of fat in between each layer is so it doesn't, so the layers separate when it cooks and the pastry expands. So that's up one side, up the other side, now going up that side. It needs the tiniest amount of butter. One, it helps it stick to the next layer, but it separates them when they're cooking. It's okay if it overlaps on the top. That's absolutely fine. And that's the oven preheated. So that's 4 sheets. I'm going to do this like that. Okay, now we've got about 5 layers. I'll put one more. That's maybe 6 layers. The exact count of these layers does not matter. You can use a little bit of artistic license. So I'm going to go up the side there as well. So it does become useful to get it about right. It's going to be about every 5th layer you're going to be putting your filling in there. Now we've gone a bit more than 5 layers here, but that's okay. So we've got a base made. Now we are going to use a cup of the mixture. Sprinkle it across the bottom. So spread it out as evenly as you can. And then it's time for the next layer. Every now and then boost the strength of the sides. It's always a hard one to do because it's not sticking to anything. That's 2. And that's 5. And we'll do another cup of this mixture. And so on, until we run out of materials. And 5. And another scoop. So you've got enough to do 6, I think it's 5 layers, 4 layers or 5 layers at any rate. I've got enough to do 1 more. So I will continue. I'm going to need to do a bit more, melt a bit more butter in a second. 2 sticks of butter, half a cup of sugar, pound of honey. This dessert is not for the faint of heart. So you have to make sure there's enough people around to share it with, because you should not be eating the whole thing on your own. Otherwise you'll end up the shape of me. I'm working on that. I'm not going to be allowed to have much of this. Okay, so that's one of the rolls of pastry used up, but it comes with 2 rolls. So oh no, it's not. I've got some more here. So don't give up yet. Sometimes they don't all unfold at the same time. So I can't remember where I was. I'm not going to re-edit it, so I think I'm going to go here. As I say, it doesn't matter if you screw it up. If you get an extra layer here or there, what the heck. Even if you forget to oil in between every single layer, it won't go quite as fluffy as it could have done, but no one will know. Okay, I'm going to say that that's probably the last one, and so the last bit of this. We'll spread it out. Now we need the extra pastry. And we probably want that other stick of butter doing as well, so let's get that done. So we're going to use a complete pack of pastry, a phyllo pastry, all these different layers. So it just takes a while putting these layers on, doesn't matter if they tear. Don't get your knickers in a twist. So when someone can hand this to you, it speeds up the process a lot, and it's a lot more fun. You're not talking to yourself, you're talking to your partner. So this week was Anne's birthday, so the boys are coming up in celebration. This will be the first time we've really gotten together in earnest for all together for quite some time. Anne's had her COVID vaccines, I've had mine. So the boys have got various from having fully inoculated to 1 dose, and we're just about. Be nice to see everybody. I can't remember where I was because I'm talking. It'll be great to get together. What better excuse do you need than to bake a baklava? Because there's no nuts, it doesn't matter how many. There's no more filling to put in. This goes a bit faster now because we don't have to stop, put the filling in, and then put this stuff on a dry base, which tends to move around because every layer you put down sticks. And so each time I put a layer down, I just want to overlap one of the edges in particular, just to make sure that we've got a nice healthy crust around the outside edge. It's funny, the first time I made baklava, it was 10 or 15 years ago. We were invited to neighbors across the street, and they're inviting most people in the street. There was about maybe 30 houses or so, and so it was a potluck, so everyone bring a dish, and I thought, I'm going to make something bee related, so made a baklava. And I was very nervous. I'd never made a dish to go to a one of these potluck dinners before, but I thought, why not? Everyone knew I had bees, so it would be a talking point. Anyway, of course, we got to the party and people started admiring the baklava and started helping themselves to the baklava. And I, of course, had forgotten that one of the newest neighbors on the street was Greek. And what did she bring? But a baklava, a real one made by a Greek person. And so then the challenge was on. Apparently it turned out that mine measured up to the real thing. And so, instilled with confidence, I'm passing this on to you folks. It's a very, very simple recipe. There's all sorts of things that you can do with it. You can add all sorts of other things to it. I've never done that, but try to use your best, most fragrant honey, and that will really come out nicely. It's the better the honey, the better the baklava, because that's the overriding taste of the baklava. Well, the nuts, of course, but you get nuts anywhere. But honey, if you've got a really terrific honey, it's good, because you're not going to be cooking the honey. You're actually just going to put this on at the end. Actually, that was one mistake I made with the first baklava I made. I actually cooked the baklava with the honey in it. And then I read the instructions the next time and I realized, oh, I wasn't supposed to. No, that wasn't the first time, it was the second time. I thought I knew what I was doing and I put it in before I actually cooked it. But you could put the honey in afterwards, and that way you're not ruining the taste of the honey either. You're not burning the honey. So you can imagine with all these layers, it's going to really, the top will really puff up if things go right. Must be something like 30 layers or so on the top. Butter it a bit at the top so it browns and everything sticks, of course. So now we're done there, done with that. What we want to do now is just trim it and get the bits off around the edge so it looks fairly neat. This is where there's a mess starting to develop on the floor. I'm surprised the dogs aren't here already picking that up. Okay, so and then finally, the bit which makes everything look really nice is then you score it. You have to be careful because you want to get it into the corners and going down at about 45 degrees. You don't have to cut all the way down, but when you get to the edge, do cut it there. And I'll score it here. and go down 45 degrees this way. So these two edges match up. And now, depending on how big a slice you want to have, so I like to have squares that are about 2 inches square. So just go in parallel with the first two cuts you made. So pushing down, be careful not to pull it. If you pull it, you start tearing it apart. So there. And from this point, I'm going to cut down here. So leave things attached in some points, so that way, because it'll cut easy later. This is just to make it much easier to cut. This one's going to go all the way to the corner here. And starting at this point where that cut is, goes to here. And the last cut there. Nope, not that one. I haven't done here yet. There we are. Now it wants to bake for between an hour and 15 minutes or so. So at about an hour, I'm going to have a look at it. Anyone would think there's a theme going on here. I think we'll leave that in just a bit longer. Just a bit longer. And while we are, we'll warm up some honey. Now, to be honest, all I'm doing right now is I'm going to warm up this honey, and maybe it would have been safe enough to put it in the microwave briefly to warm enough so that it ran very well, but as I'm doing a video and showing you how things should be done rather than how I do it, we'll do it the right way. So the only problem with this is it takes a while for the honey to come out of the jar. So we'll come back to that. We just want to make sure that that doesn't burn. So right now it's thick, and what we're looking to do is we're just going to warm this up enough so that it flows very easily. So we're heating up that honey so that it runs like water, and that way, without getting it really hot, it's not going to damage the honey, but I want it to run really easily. mean, just with time it would flow anyway, but it's a lot better if it's warmed up. Okay, that's warm enough for me. Don't want to risk burning it. And I think now the baklava will be ready to come out of the oven. Okay, that'll do. Now, doesn't that look good? And now, we pour on the honey. So I want the honey to work its way down the cracks. We'll try and do it as evenly as we can. That's why I kind of like having it coming straight out of the bottle. Down in the crust. And there we have the baklava. I hope you find that useful and fun to do. You can impress your friends. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time. So I hope you're enjoying this video of cooking with honey. If you have some good honey recipes where you use a good amount of honey and to make your recipe particularly special, please let me know about it. I'd love to do some more. And we've got one or two things that we do honey with, but I'd love to add to this and make it really interesting. So if you do a lot of cooking with honey, please send me in the recipe and I'll do what I can to make a video sometime. Probably be over the winter time. I don't have a lot of time for this sort of thing in the summer, but it's a rainy day today, so it's a great day to be doing some cooking. So cooking with honey is a lot of fun. So send in those recipes, comment below or email me, send a message on Facebook, however you want to do it, but I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much.